Andrew Tate.
Hello.
You've agreed to do an interview with the BBC today.
Yep.
The material is going to be published on television, on radio, online.
Perfect.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have. I would argue that a lot of the things that are already out there inside of the legacy media and the matrix as a whole are far more damaging than the things I say.
It's the concern about the influence you have being a harmful influence, but let's start with the allegations.
Not necessarily a harmful influence. The fact that I'm massively influential over the youth, and I understand that, but it's my influence as a whole which people are afraid of, not necessarily the things I say.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for
Absolutely
money?
not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. Firstly, let's begin let's start at the beginning. I'm facing charges. The first one you mentioned, the rape one's already been thrown out by a judge because there's no evidence of it. Secondly, it's very difficult for me to sit here and have a very frank and honest conversation with you while we're in the territory of Romania about a legal case that's going on within Romania. I have to protect myself. I've agreed to do an interview with you, and I want to be as honest with you as possible, but I can't incriminate myself in any way, and I have to be very careful with what I talk about.
There are no charges yet.
Correct, there are no charges.
Has said that
there are no
more
charges,
evidence
and I've agreed to speak to you, but I have to be as honest and frank as I can while also protecting myself and following my legal counsel.
So let's talk about what you've said yourself then. You have said on the website for your original website for the Hustlers University that you emotionally manipulated women to fall in love with you so that you could get them working in the sex industry for your financial gain.
As I said, I have to be very careful with what I say, but let's put it this way. No women are coming out against me and accusing me of doing it.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Who?
There's testimony from the current investigation.
The current investigation, which I cannot discuss, which I know intimately and you don't, I can tell you right now that the women who are in this case file, there are 2 American women who have been caught already admitting they're lying, and then nobody else is accusing me of anything.
To begin with, it's very common in cases like this that the alleged victims do not always see themselves as victims.
Well, that's very interesting. It's actually extremely interesting because if I was a matrix-controlled organization and my goal was to slander somebody and try and destroy their name, you're telling me that they've chosen a crime which, 1, is heinous, of course, because it damages the person's credibility, and 2, you're saying that even if everyone else involved, if you have 5 people and everyone's sitting there saying, no, nobody's hurt anybody, we like Andrew, we've all worked together, we're friends, etc.
That's not what everybody's saying.
No.
Let me read you some of the testimony from the current investigation.
Can I finish please?
One of the witnesses said...
Can I finish, please?
You're not answering the question I've asked you. You're not answering the question I've asked you.
I am answering the question. Let
me read you the testimony of one of the witnesses.
You're saying the people who are involved in this, even if they say they're not victims, that they're still going to try and attack me and pretend they're victims.
They are treated as victims by the case that's ongoing. And not all of them are saying that. One of the witnesses says...
Lucy,
we can't go into the case. The case is open and active.
Well, let's just be clear that not all of the witnesses in the case are behaving in the way you describe. And even those that are, it doesn't bar them from being treated as victims by the prosecution, by the case.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely and utterly sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely and utterly, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated. And I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I am beholden to the Romanian legal system. And I'm not going to incriminate myself because you're trying to prod me. You are wrong, and we're going to have to accept that for now and talk about something else.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think that's
exactly what
no,
you said.
That's no, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it. And again, once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. It's actually very interesting that me, one of the most famous people in the world, who's been vilified by the legacy media and places all over the internet, while everyone has attacked me from every single angle, while federal agencies from multiple countries have called over 2,000 women who know me, we stand here with 0 new accusations since my arrest. 0. If you took any famous person, any man of substantial wealth, and you called 2,000 women who knew him, you'd find an ex-girlfriend is upset, somebody who wants money who's upset. They called 2,000 people who knew me and could not find a single woman to make a new complaint. The only complaints they have against me are the initial complaints, which we can prove are lies, and that's where it stands. So I'm not going to sit here and allow you to pretend that I'm some kind of evil predator, when actually I'd argue the fact that people who've been investigated to the level I've been investigated to, if you were to take the average man on the street and investigate his entire life for 14 months, call everyone who's ever known him, and vilify him in the media, and encourage people to come forward for money, and you try to contact every ex-girlfriend that's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those people of rape and accuse those people
I think that you would have a lot more. I think you would have a lot more flack than I've got. I'm actually such a nice person that I've never had anyone come at me.
The BBC has spoken to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things. That with you, it's all manipulation. There's an ulterior.
Is this Sophie?
Everything.
Is this Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie. The fake name, no face, the story that was invented.
Wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy. That I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime? This imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is.
Has she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the question.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she saying?
Talking about emotional manipulation into the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed criminal. This person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past to file criminal charges against me. I will fight them. I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent, but that doesn't matter because the state will say they're victims, and they're just going to grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
We will see what women go. We will see what women go to court at the end of this trial. We'll see which women go to court.
Can I finish, please?
We'll see which women go to court.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
Sophie hasn't gone to court. Sophie doesn't exist.
And I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe.
They're not my words.
Coercion.
They're words you found. They're words you found on the internet. And Sophie doesn't exist.
On your
so let's move on to the
website,
next subject.
In your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website is the same. It's been the same for a very long time.
The comments on this website, on the original website, have been taken down, and I wonder why.
You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me, and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of, and that I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm asking you about that.
Absolutely not is the answer. I look forward to the end of this trial. I look forward to clearing my name. I look forward to the BBC and the legacy media having to say not guilty and having to tell the truth. As I've said before, the only other person who's been found, despite absolute rigorous, destructive levels of investigation and prodding into my life, is this imaginary Sophie by the BBC who doesn't exist. And if you were to find any single other man on earth and try and analyze his life forensically to the level they've done mine, you would find genuine damage to people. I don't hurt people.
It's not just
Thousands of women have come out in my
allegations.
defense. Thousands of women have come out in my defense, and you've not mentioned that. Thousands of women come out in my defense.
Because the problem is when women accuse you of serious crimes.
Okay,
And emotional
but
manipulation.
let's agree that
That's
thousands
the
of women.
problem.
Let's agree that
It's not
thousands.
the problem that some people say you haven't done it. It's a problem that some people say you have.
Thousands of women come out in my defense, and as we stand right now, we have an open criminal investigation. The people who are involved in the criminal investigation are saying that we're not victims of anything. Andrew's fine, he's never hurt us. You're saying, no, I have the opposite to that. I have to counter that. I have someone called Sophie with no face, a fake name, who we've invented, and she's not accusing you of anything criminal. So I don't see the whole point you're trying to make
You say
here.
you manipulate women, they say you manipulate women. Why wouldn't people think you do?
I'm not here. Do you think I'm manipulating you?
I'm asking you about the testimony you've given on your website and the testimony
No,
women have given
you've
about
printed
you.
something off that you found on Reddit, and you're going to sit here and say that that makes me a bad person. And I'm saying that you should know better as a journalist and do some proper journalism. Let's investigate the fact that
I
thousands.
think you should answer my questions
I am.
properly.
I am. I already have, and we should move on. She's just trying to start an argument.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive. In fact, if you were to read the comment section of nearly any video I post, especially by the legacy media, 95% of the population agree with me. Most people know that the things I say are positive. Legacy media as a whole has lost all its credibility in the last 3 to 4 years. Nobody believes it. And it's a shame, it's a massive shame that the BBC come here and try and push and purport this idea that I'm a dangerous person.
I'm putting my own words to you.
I'm anti-drugs. I've never pushed drugs or any. I'm anti-drugs. I'm anti-violence. The UK is facing a knife crime epidemic, and they're going to sit here and say that I'm the most dangerous man in the UK.
You have said you're the most dangerous man in the world.
I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world.
You've also said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner. I'm glad you find that funny.
I find it funny that you're sitting here saying that I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world, and you believe that's. When did I say that?
I'm asking if you believe it.
No, you said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Is that some kind of proof that I'm dangerous? Am I Dr. Evil now? I'm telling you that it's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good.
You have said.
I'm genuinely a force
Not
for good.
what I've said.
And the reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside of the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
You've said women's intimate parts belong to their male partner.
I said that if a woman marries a man, she takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing traditional religious beliefs, because I'm a religious man, and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage, which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So
That's not a crazy conspiracy theory. If you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world, then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious or very conservative.
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful. It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men, and what are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually, watch my content, because you have no time to actually watch my content at length and understand what I'm saying, you just come here with a small snippet which we provided to you on a piece of paper.
Saying it 3 times doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper, small clips on a piece of paper, and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well, then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor, giving you the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals. We are people. We're citizens of the world, and we sit here as equals. And I see you as my equal, and if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo and that you don't have to answer my questions is disingenuous because I don't owe you anything.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe. No,
however you want.
This is a conversation. and I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear. And that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or from the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Great.
And I'm doing you a favor. But you come here with loaded questions. You're trying to paint a narrative of me which is negative.
I'm asking you about things you've said that people are concerned about.
And that's fine. But you're not going to sit here and say you don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a third degree. It's supposed to be a conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
You are extremely, it's very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, you said this, and you're the most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical comments are.
So you're saying it was sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show. And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a bad person is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch the show.
You were being sarcastic when you said... Let me just clarify.
You should watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience. You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that you haven't watched the show at length, and you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man. And she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed. She laughed and she said, yeah, that's probably true. If you watch the show, it will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all and then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I've got this piece of paper with a few things printed off, that's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show, do some research.
Do you believe it?
You already answered
I've already answered the question.
Not really.
Of course I have.
Can
we move on? I've answered the question.
Do you believe that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner?
Of course not. I've just answered the question.
You just answered that. You said exactly that.
We've done that 3 times.
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think that it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this Matrix attack, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world or the things I push or what I'm trying to teach the world or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence. Instead, they come here with pieces of paper with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts, taken out of context, to attempt the same Matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in Legacy Media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I really encourage you. I encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube when this goes on YouTube, and you will see that nobody believes a word you're saying.
The
This is
reason we're
garbage.
asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like
Absolute
this.
garbage.
National organisations who are saying that, are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils,
because
of you and your teaching
well,
and your influence.
that's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against. I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me, with no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month Matrix investigation. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago, is disingenuous. It's disingenuous. And also,
financial success
correct.
With a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her off.
Is that what I teach?
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip,
you've got
it will be
the
about the
video.
woman attacking me with a machete. As usual, you've not watched the video, taken it out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But if I were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist. I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context. If you refuse to watch anything at length and understand it, then that's what's going to happen.
The National Police Chiefs League for Violence Against Women, the NSPCC, Rape Crisis, Safer Schools, they are all naming you as being behind an epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
It's the misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, it's the misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my questions now. We finally got the dynamic.
You have an image of financial success.
She's answering my questions as she should.
Excuse me. You have an image of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes towards women that are really problematic.
My attitudes towards women is that women should be protected and provided for, and I've said that at length. In fact, I've said that over 50 times online, you never mention it. I say that my girlfriend doesn't have to work unless she wants to, I take care of her, I die to protect a woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Absolutely not. I've said that women should be protected and provided for.
And in return, you want authority over her, because if you have responsibility for someone like a child or a dog, you say, you have authority over them.
If you want to go down this argument, we'll go down this nuanced argument. I said that if I have responsibility for her safety, I should have a degree of authority over her safety. Meaning, and let me explain my point. If I'm the one who has to fight and die to protect her, I'm the one who decides how we walk home. I'm the one who decides the route we take. Because it's unfair for her to say, I want to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, but you have to face the knives. That's what I've said. And then you're going to sit here and pretend that I'm trying to treat women like dogs, which is garbage. Every single man in the world who loves his woman understands that he has to protect her. And every single woman in the world likes the idea of a man who would protect her. If you were to say to most women home right now, do you want your husband to protect you in a violent attack? They'd say, yeah, of course. Nothing I've said is misogynistic.
If you said to most women, would you want to lose authority in the relationship, to not be treated as a free and legal equal to your partner?
I didn't say that. I said I need to have authority over the route we walk home.
When you compare women and the authority over women that you believe you should have to having authority over a child or a dog, it's not the same, because a woman is a free, legal adult.
Correct.
You're equal.
Free, legal adult, my equal. But if I had a girlfriend and we were walking home late at night, and I said, let's not walk down that area, it's a bad area, I have to protect you if anything happens, I want to take the long way. And she said, no, I have to walk this way, even though it's the most dangerous route, I must.
Then what?
Then I would say, you're welcome to, you could do it, you're a free and legal equal, but I'm not going to walk with you and protect you. I think that I should be able to decide the route, because I have an obligation. And my obligation as a man is to protect and provide for females. Everything I'm talking about is traditional gender roles, which 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, would not be considered outlandish, would not be considered crazy, would not be considered dangerous or misogynistic. The world has changed, and a lot of people haven't changed with the world. Please understand, there's a lot of women at home watching this right now who like the idea of their man sticking up for them, protecting them, and providing for them. And just because the world has gone crazy and the legacy media has gone crazy, most people at home are still relatively sane. And these are the people who are going to write on the comments that Andrew isn't saying anything that's outlandish. It's the whole world believes these things.
I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you're doing this. I told you. Same as twice. I told you. They come in, they smile, they shake their hands, and then they read one talking line excerpts from Blackboard.
It's fine. It's fine.
It goes like that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm having a nice conversation with you, so I'm enjoying it. So it's no problem. It's been fun so far.
These people are our own category at this time. People are on the total shelter today.
It's fine. We good?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Do you want to clap again?
Yes, no. We didn't stop, no?
I can do the clap. Now we good?
No, thank you. Thanks.
If a man broke into your house, wouldn't you want your husband to protect you?
There's a difference between conservative values and emotional control, coercive control.
We're talking about protection now, and I'm saying if someone broke into your house, would you want your husband to protect you?
It's not about conservative values or protection, it's what you're demanding in return for that.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't know who your husband is. I don't know if he would stand up and protect you or die for you, but I'll give you this. If someone broke into this house right now and was a homicidal maniac, I would expect me and the other men in this room to stand up and face them while you and the other women in this room could protect yourselves. I would actually believe the men should go and engage the attacker. I believe that. And even though I don't know you, and you've come into my house with a hostile agenda, and you've come here to try and make me look bad, I would still stand up to protect you. I would still stand up to protect you because I believe that's my role as a man.
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I say.
It's not about whether you protect your partner or not. It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it causes.
That's not true.
Because
that's not true.
Making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy, and I believe that eventually when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money, because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs, or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website where they pay
I could make
to
jokes.
learn how to be
Sure,
like you.
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke
online. Are you
online.
saying that all the controversial things you've said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes you
and the
money.
reason
I'm sorry, we have agreed to do an interview where you are going to ask questions that are going to give us the opportunity to clarify some things. These are very loaded questions.
sorry.
And so far, I'm sorry, I have arranged this and I'm talking right now. So, these are very loaded questions, and this is not what we discussed, and this is not the conversation that we agreed to.
We were very clear that the questions
You're sitting there and just accusing, we're not here to face new allegations. This has all been discussed, answers have been provided, so if we could please move on from this side of the interview, I would appreciate it.
I would like to hear what Andrew's got to say about the fact that when you make controversial statements, it attracts people to follow you, and then you direct them to your website where they pay you a monthly fee to learn how to be like you. And so the more controversial statements you make, the more money you get.
The fact that that's the path you've outlined to one, my online university, and two, my presence on the internet, the fact that you believe that's the path just shows you've done absolutely zero research. Genuinely zero research.
Okay, so how many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media?
Genuinely zero research.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media where you direct them to the website?
And Lucy, I encourage you to go out there, do some genuine research, watch my videos, of course, watch my videos at length, and truly understand what I'm doing.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University at $49.99 a month come to you because they see your social media comments?
There's an online school called Hustlers University, which I don't own. I influence for, along with many other influencers, and they sign up for our website, which I don't own. And once again, that's nothing to do with me. And you're going to sit here and say that I made a joke. I made a joke online 4 years ago because a woman said that she owned her man's car, and you made a joke, and that means that you, because you have a Bugatti, are the most misogynistic, dangerous man in the world. This is going down a path of absolute insanity. It's not true. None of this is true. I don't hurt people. I don't harm people. I'm genuinely a positive influence.
You are renowned.
I'm renowned
for offensive and controversial.
That's not why I'm renowned. I'm actually renowned. I'm actually renowned for helping young men, because we talk about there's a men's mental health crisis, and we pretend to care that men are upset. But as soon as I discuss men's issues, it's misogynistic. It doesn't have to be gendered. Just because I believe men have a point of view and men have rights and men are allowed to think and believe and act a certain way that helps them internally, that doesn't mean it's anti-female. In fact, I believe it's actually pro-female. I think when a man is true to his influence and true to his essence, and he's good within himself, he's a positive influence in the world, and he's positive for the women around him.
So
just because I discuss men's issues, people say, oh, you're anti-woman. I'm not anti-woman, I love women.
Why are so many women saying that when their boyfriends start following you,
they're not.
They experience more control.
So many.
They experience
How many?
more abuse.
How many?
Enough.
Well, this is the first time I've heard of it. So, in fact...
One is too many.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising
Doesn't
the
it worry you?
praising the fact that their sons are listening to me,
Does it not
praising
worry
the
you?
fact that their
The things
husbands
I'm
listen to me.
saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry. It would
Are you not
worry.
concerned about
it
your
would.
influence?
It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world. You have billions of views, and one woman, is now saying that her husband is
I
not
have
the same man she wants him to
presented
be. When thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I've
that's.
presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda. You've come here with loaded questions. You've come here with things taken out of context. You come here with things that you don't understand are satirical. And then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos. And then I don't know what you expect me to say to that. That's
sarcastic and jokes.
No.
That's how you explain the comments you make.
for you to sit down.
Would you
and
like to apologise for any of them?
For you to sit down, and for you to sit down. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes, or whatever your argument is, and that I'm somehow the worst, most dangerous man in the world because I have a car, is just disingenuous. And I'm enjoying this interview very much because this shows the world. It's great. It shows the world the truth about the legacy media because they beg me for interviews. They beg me, you have been begging me for months, please, we need to be relevant. And then you come here with loaded questions trying to paint a picture of me, which is completely and utterly false. I am a good positive influence for the world. The things I teach men are stoicism, discipline, self-respect, hard work, obeying authority, listening to your fight coach, working hard in school, making as much money as possible in your job. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them, how I believe a woman should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this, but you don't watch any of it, and then you come here and ask me to answer questions I've answered at length thousands of times.
Since you came out of custody, there seems to have been a lot about your charity work.
Correct.
On your social
There's
media.
I've always done the charity work, but now I'm promoting it.
There seems to be a real shift.
Yeah.
I wonder what's behind that.
Well, I've always done the charity work. I've been doing the charity work for years. I believe that it's my legacy to leave a positive influence on the world, and I've been doing charity work for over 5 years. Post my incarceration, my unfair, unjust incarceration, may I add. Post that, I've made it more clear the charity work I'm doing. But this is, once again, very interesting. I spend $25 million a year feeding children. Men, male children, and female children. In Turkey, in Syria, in Iran, and Iraq. I literally spend $25 million a year feeding children. And I'm still the worst man in the world because 4 years ago I made a sarcastic comment?
Because some people would look at that and say, okay, so before you got money from attracting people to your website by making controversial comments, but that might have got you into trouble. And so now you're looking for a new market. You're looking for a new market of followers who are attracted by a different sort of persona.
I've always done the charity work, so that is obviously incorrect. And I have proof that I've always done the charity work, so you're wrong, firstly. I believe that if you have a lot of wealth, you should help people, and I'm helping people. I also think it's very, very interesting that you could not find another celebrity in the UK or anywhere else who's spending £25 million a year feeding children in war-torn countries. I'm doing that, and I've been doing that for a long time without even mentioning it. I never even said it. And now that I've said it, people are going to attack me for it and say that it's disingenuous. The person in Sudan who's eating the meal, do you think they believe it's disingenuous? No, I think they feel pretty good that Andrew Tate fed them. And to sit here and say that I'm a bad person now because I'm manipulating charity, because I'm using charity, I'm just trying to do good in the world. That's all I've ever been trying to do.
When women speak out against you online, disagree with what you say, they describe being bombarded with rape threats, with death threats, trolling by your followers. Would you like to say anything to your followers about how to behave in that situation?
Absolutely, correctly. I would love to do that. First things first, I've yet to see a female stand up and argue with me online. I don't ever see hardly any. Only women who message me agree with me. Secondly, I don't think that anybody who disagrees with me, male or female, should be trolled. I don't think they should be insulted or attacked. I think the ideas should be discussed openly and fairly and maturely. It doesn't matter if a man agrees with me or disagrees with me, or a female. I don't think my followers should come along and attack her, and if my followers are doing that, I'm upset by that. But let's make a very important clarification. That's not my followers. That's the internet. If you were to log into any video game lobby, I don't play video games, and someone were to sit there and say something stupid, they would be trolled with similar comments. That's the unfortunate reality of the internet as a whole. That's nothing to do with me. But I encourage all of my followers to engage in open discourse and be fair and honest and talk in a way which is mature. There's no need to troll anybody, male or female.
Okay.
Kathy, anything?
A couple of things. I wonder if it would be worth giving Andrew one more opportunity to consider whether or not he would like to apologise or give an indication of how he feels about the allegations that he has negatively influenced young people in the UK. And secondly, I think we should put on record that this interview is taking place in your house because you're under house arrest. If it were not for that, then we would have chosen another location, I'm sure. We would have negotiated that between us. So I think that's just worth putting on record.
Okay. So just to put on the record then, you've said that you've invited us into your house.
Correct.
We're here because you're under house arrest.
Correct.
If you were free to leave, we would have negotiated a more neutral setting.
Don't you think, as the BBC, it would be very interesting to come here and discuss the fact that I was put in a dungeon for 92 days and then locked in house arrest without charge? Don't you think that's a far more interesting conversation than old YouTube snippets? Don't you think that would be interesting?
You're here under house arrest because there's an ongoing investigation into rape and human trafficking allegations against
Correct. I've been incarcerated without charge. And don't you think
the rape allegation
it's been dropped?
Has been incarcerated for.
Correct. So I'm incarcerated without charge, and I think that would be a far more interesting conversation than I guess Julian Assange is incarcerated without charge, and nobody's interested in that either. So if you actually wanted to do some genuine journalism and investigation, we could talk about the fact that an innocent man who is yet to be charged with a crime has had his liberty deprived of him. And I think that would be a far more interesting angle than talking about me being the most dangerous man in the world because I own a car.
And this question about schools being very worried about your influence.
Yeah.
Boys in primary school, or boys as young as 11 are quoting you at school,
Yeah.
attacking girls, refusing to respect female teachers.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything about that?
I'd like to say a lot. First things first, as I've repeatedly said, and the only reason I keep repeating it is because I'm sure this interview will be edited. I am a positive force for the world, and I teach children discipline. I teach the world discipline, male or female, of any age. And a lot of women listen to me as well. 40% of the people who listen to me are actually female. Secondly, I do understand with my massive influence, and I am now the one of the most influential people on the planet, that I do have to be slightly more careful with things I say. I'm not going to disagree with that. The idea that I said something 5 years ago on a video that got 300 views...
So what do you mean, being slightly more careful?
I'll give you an example. Some of the jokes I made 4 or 5 years ago on a YouTube channel that got 300 views, I would no longer make...
Like what?
Like the OnlyFans joke, the one you mentioned repeatedly. When she said, my man's car is my car. And then she said she did OnlyFans. And I said, what do you sell on OnlyFans? She said, my tits. And I said, well, those are your man's tits. As a joke, ha ha ha, everybody laughed. The fact that I could do that on a podcast 5 years ago and it only got 300 views, now I understand I'm the most influential man on the face of the planet. I would be more careful with certain things I say. That doesn't mean the things I originally said were genuinely out to harm people.
Do you really believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled person on the planet.
Do you believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled man on the planet.
I think we're done.
Yep. Thanks, Lucy. It was enjoyable. Nice to meet you. No, it was fun. It was good. I enjoyed it. De-mic me. I don't want to damage anything. Thank you. Very nice to meet you. Lucy. Thank you. Very nice to meet you. Goodbye. The very polite staff.
Richard, do you want to go with them?